the industry had our own Me Too movement at the same time as the mainstream industry did. So there were a lot of people that were weeded out of the industry that were doing unethical things. And as a result of that, more and more mainstream companies have now implemented a consent boundary checklist before we actually shoot the scene.
Yeah,
so
right.
so I'm a contract star for Brazzers, which is the biggest porn company in the world. And before we actually shoot any part of the sex, the talent sit down with a talent liaison and we go through an extensive checklist of sex acts and we mark yes, no, and then there's a little spot for clarification. So it goes through everything from kissing to hair pulling to nipple pinching, penetrative sex, object insertion, pegging, rimming. The list is endless, and we say yes, no, or clarification. So we might say yes to choking, but light.
What happens in the instances, though, where you're doing it alongside someone and they have overstepped? So even if you say, okay, yeah, I'm fine with light choking, but maybe in the moment someone has gotten carried away with the role that they're playing, what happens? Is there a stop down? Like, how does that get navigated?
So that's why we have the talent liaison on set. So they're watching the scene, and if any point anyone oversteps a boundary where we've said no on the checklist, then they're there to step in, cut, and like make sure everyone's okay. It's never actually happened to me personally, but they're there as a safety guard to make sure. And then also performers on set have the right at any moment to call cut, any moment.
And
So
that's standard with all of the production?
that's standard.
Okay.
So at any moment, if you're uncomfortable, even if you need a water break or you're getting a cramp, whatever it might be, why you need to stop for a moment.
God, you're going hard if you're cramping. I haven't cramped in a long time. I need to up the ante.
But yeah.
What would be your recommendation if there's someone who wants to get into the industry? And I mean, I know that we have OnlyFans and there's so much more accessible information online, but for someone who's done it and navigated themselves, what would be your recommendation for the safest way to explore the adult industry?
I think exploring it on your own first before you start working with any mainstream companies is a great idea. So starting an OnlyFans or starting a Pornhub channel and just directing your own scenes and creating your own content first, so that then you can kind of know what your boundaries are before you're even getting onto a mainstream porn set. I think you learn a lot through self-producing and directing. And for me, the biggest thing that made me a better performer was actually editing my own scenes.
Yeah, of
like
course.
looking back and seeing where my placement was for my leg, for example. Like just a couple of inches moving your knee forward can let the light in, let the camera see the penetration. These things really help you become a better performer.
As someone that has literally tried everything as in some capacity, what's your favorite position and the quickest way for you to orgasm?
The quickest is probably okay. I'm gonna put it out here. I love edging, so a quick orgasm for me is not ideal. I love to edge and just like really build it up so I can have a really hard orgasm. If I really just want to get it done, then penetration with a vibe on my clit is the quickest. So missionary.
So on your own.
Well, on my own, yeah, that is the absolute quickest.
Yeah.
But if I want to be really quick with a partner, then missionary, penetrative sex, and a vibe on my clit, that's amazing. But I think my favorite is either going to be missionary or cowgirl, so that I can have close missionary or close cowgirl, so I have clitoral stimulation at the same time as penetration. That's the best for me.
What's been the most, like, of all, this is probably hard for you to pin down, but like, of all the experiences that you've had, I'm sure you have one or two where you're like, that was fucking insane. What would that be for you?
In terms of porn?
In terms of porn, in terms of, I mean, we don't have to go into your personal life, but like moments in your sexual experiences where you were like, fucking didn't know my body could do that, or that was truly another level that I reached, and I'm glad we went there.
I think it was when she put her fist in her ass, wasn't it?
Yeah. Top 3 for me in terms of sexual experiences. The first one is going to be the scene with Manuel where I cried, which has been covered across a lot of media.